Good morning everyone, let's get started with this week's weekly outlook. We're now in December. Right, so I'm going to start on the monthly. It's important to start from top down obviously, as I always do, and we've just entered a new month. So what does this look like at the moment? So for those who haven't seen my previous videos, what we're doing is we're working within this current bullish leg here, right? This low to this high, that's our dealing range. Okay, after we took that liquidity, mitigated this imbalance, created a bullish leg, right? Then we met resistance at this opposing bearish imbalance and order block here. So we've got these two up candles and this imbalance zone here. So in the month of September, we took the buy side liquidity from this zone here above these previous highs and these previous highs here in July as well, these internal buy side liquidities, and closed out as this high test doji candle. So that's that quick explanation of the past price action. We have our bullish leg. I'm expecting a bearish pullback, okay? So we have this discount zone here and equilibrium, and at this zone here you can see we have a bullish imbalance, and then we have this BPR zone here as well that could draw in price, right? So that is the bullish imbalance covered by a bearish imbalance, creates this BPR zone here, which also overlaps with this bullish imbalance that was created during this bullish phase here. So these monthly discount draws on liquidity, as I've wrote below. So what I am expecting is for price to obviously pull back to a discount and then possibly continue its bullish move. I was expecting last month to continue that bearish pressure, which we saw in October. However, it didn't after taking that sell side liquidity from that previous monthly low. Okay, so, but I'm still expecting further bearish moves to continue. Okay, but we'll see more on the lower time frames than the monthly. All right, so we're in December. Our next sell side liquidity target would be this November low here, and then the August lows here. So we do have liquidity targets in between before this point here, right? This is going to be more long term. This is going to take months to reach if we do reach it. Okay, so the next immediate target will be the November low. So I hope that's clear. Let's go down to the weekly. Let's see how the weekly looks for us. So in terms of the weekly price action, again, just to go back over the past a little bit, you can see how in September we had this bearish candle wick here, this high test wick where we took the buy side liquidity from all those previous weeks and months and into that monthly imbalance zone here. We've moved down bearish since, obviously not with loads of momentum. There's no imbalances left behind, no clear imbalances. All right, we have this old imbalance which is turning possibly into this inverse fair value gap where you can see these wicks and the candle bodies. We're respecting it as support, then we're respecting it now as resistance. We also leave behind these order block candles, which price is now respecting. They're not high probability order blocks, of course, because there's no imbalance right after it, but price seems to be respecting this previous order block here before it broke down, pulled back to it, respected that order block. We broke down again a couple of weeks ago. I expected that to continue, right, and then possibly use this order block, but we have been held around this zone here, and we have come back to retest that order block again and this possible inverse fair value gap here. It's still acting as a resistance. I'm still expecting some bearish moves here, right, to come for these previous weekly lows and the previous monthly low here, and beyond that to continue towards our monthly imbalance zone here, right, which is the draw of liquidity and the pullback draw of liquidity from the monthly. So the weekly has yet to change structure really, because this low to this high is the current dealing range. So we're still within that dealing range. We can argue that it's still bullish, but I am expecting this to possibly play out. We will see if that continues, okay? So far this week already, we've taken a buy side liquidity from our previous weeks. So this may be where price is now taking this buy side liquidity. We'll see to continue that move down. As I've noted here, unclear weekly perspective at the moment. Bearish order flow could continue, but I'm awaiting that daily price action. So we'll see more clearly on the daily time frame. The dealing range is there if they break or continue, and to see if we'll continue this bearish move down. But this is my weekly perspective here. Like I said, it's not the clearest perspective from the weekly. We're just assuming it's going to follow that monthly bearish pullback plan down towards this zone here, and we're going to probably use the daily mainly for our higher time frame direction. So at the moment, like I said, we're still using this as a bit of resistance. So we'll see if that continues for us to target these previous weekly lows and November sell side liquidity, which is sort of a weak low formation here, right, forming a trend line. So let's go down to the daily, see what that looks like for us for this upcoming week. Right, so let's explain this daily. I'm not going to go through it in too much detail, right, but the market maker sell model that I've been working with, maybe look at an old video if this is your first time on the channel, right? We are in our sell side curve, right, hoping to complete that market maker sell model with this August low here being the target, right, the ultimate target for that market maker sell model, right? We have a buy side curve here, topped out, started respecting bearish order flow and respecting bearish PDAs and POIs here, right, as resistance, started breaking down and respecting those. Now, at the moment, in our current leg here, you can see price reacted to this BPR zone here, pulled back deep, started to make that move lower, but also reacted again off this BPR here, and we had SMC here on a higher time frame, right, or SMT if you call it that, and that resulted in another large bullish move right up into the extreme of this high here. Okay, so we're in a sort of crossways. The order flow and price has been respecting bearish POIs and PDAs. So for me, still on the daily, as you see by these arrows, I still have a bearish bias in terms of the daily time frame. We've pulled back into this OTE zone here. Yesterday we had a real high test candle, taking loads of buy side liquidity, pushing back into this BPR zone here, and ultimately closing out as that high test, right? So that exists. We have some weak high formations around here. So as this diagram shows, it is possible that we come up above these highs, take that buy side liquidity, and can still break down from here. Though it would be a sign that we are possibly also switching trend. We're not going to complete that market maker sell model, but it's one to look out for. Or we can start moving lower from this OTE zone here, considering the way we closed out yesterday, right? We are still in bearish formations. We haven't yet broken the dealing range, right, of this high or this high. Okay, so this would be our external dealing range from this high to this low, right? And then internal to that, we created another dealing range here, right? This high and this low again. We haven't broken either of those dealing range highs, so we still are technically respecting these bearish POIs, PDAs, right? And these are just reactions with some SMT because DXY has taken these lows, okay? But not to get too complicated, from this moment in time, I do still believe we are bearish. Now I need to update these because obviously they're not the previous weekly lows and stuff, but these are sell side liquidity targets. So from the daily perspective, this target here would be the next sell side liquidity target, then this one below here, right? Ultimately, again, August low being that market maker sell model target. This could turn into an inverse imbalance here, and price could respect it as support, which it kind of already has done. So we'll see where we go, but I am still seeing this as a bearish bias. Sorry to keep repeating myself, but just so you know and we don't get confused, right? High time frame, I want to see us continue to come for these lows here. Now in terms of the lower time frame, let's move on to the 4 hour. We'll see what perspective we have from there. Now on the 4 hour, my perspective is obviously different, and I'm going to explain that. We was originally working with this market maker sell model here on the 4 hour, which is a fractal of the daily market maker sell model. Now price has obviously reversed from that BPR on the daily here, and we started creating bullish order flow respecting bullish POIs and PDAs, right? 4 hour order block, 4 hour imbalance, 4 hour imbalance, pulled back now again, 4 hour imbalance and order block. So potential lower time frame market maker buy model, buy side curve target up here, this high here. So on the lower time frame, I am bullish. We have been respecting this bit bullish order flow, taking out highs, making new higher highs. So I'm fine if we get the lower time frame order flow to target these internal highs here up until this point, right? But just knowing that it's more riskier because the daily is technically still against us, but we can't ignore all of this order flow here, right? Creating this buy side curve. But we know it's more risky because there is the possibility we just start respecting the daily again and break down. Right, so we have to go in for good trades. So I hope that's clear. We had this sell side curve here, and you can see where price bottomed out, had this low here, took sell side liquidity, SMC on a higher time frame, and then we started creating those high highs, respecting bullish order flow and POIs clearly. Okay, so let's go down to the hourly where it's more of the same. All right, very clear here again on the hourly. This is the buy side curve that you saw visible on the 4 hour. You can see high highs, high lows, respecting those order blocks and imbalances here. We've created a nice bullish leg again yesterday, and we've pulled back right to the discount where we have 1 hour and 4 hour overlapping POIs here. So we have 1 hour imbalance and order block. Price has just come into that 1 hour imbalance. I would have loved it to come deeper this morning, taking this sell side liquidity below Asia, right? We're still hanging around here, so we may still see that sweep of sell side liquidity below Asia and then come up and start to form our market maker buy model fractal. So we have the 4 hour market maker buy model, which is this line here all the way to this high. But what we're going to have here is an M15 or 5-minute fractal up to this high here, right? Which is how we trade, right? So we're going to want to bottom out, take some sell side liquidity possibly, and then start targeting our fractal high here, and ultimately then here at 1656. Right, so I hope that's really clear for you. This is what I potentially see for today, right? And then once we get up into this zone, we'll start reevaluating for the rest of the week. But like I said, the daily still has that bearish bias, right? Which I would follow, okay? So these are riskier buys, but we can't ignore this bullish order flow that has been maintained, right, since mid-November. So this is a strong confluence zone here. The 1 hour zones aren't as mitigated, but the 4 hour imbalance and order block is, right? We've come into that, so price may continue going bullish, but like I said, we've got a weak low here because we've got an Asia low of the day so far, and then we've got this pre-London open kill zone low here, so price may come down for that sell side liquidity before going higher, and maybe we'll have that New York reversal to come for these highs here, right? So potential lower time frame market maker buy model, buy side curve target. This will be the sell side curve and this will be the buy side curve, and we'll see that on the M15 now. So I hope that's clear. Any questions, just let me know in the comments. All right, so here's the M15. Here's what I'm thinking of for today, of course, right? We've got this price has been consolidating since yesterday afternoon, as it does, but it's still consolidating even here in London, right, in the London Open. We have that low resistance liquidity here, right, with these lows right near each other. This is an Asia low, which is why I've pointed that out, because it's still a zone that price may come for. And we've got this pre-London Open low here as well. So we've taken the buy side liquidity above these Asia highs into this imbalance here on the M15. So this may make price come down, trap in sellers, right, because we've taken buy side liquidity, made a lower low, trap those sellers in, take that sell side liquidity, and then it will take those sellers out, of course, by going up above these highs again, and then going the real direction that the market wants to go, possibly this way. So we're waiting for that M15 order flow to give us more confidence for this market maker buy model to go in this direction. Right, so I need that M15 order flow respecting M15 POIs. Right at the moment now, after taking this buy side liquidity and into this bearish POI, you can see we're being held at this bullish POI here with this order block and imbalance. So we're going to see which side gives out first, but I would prefer if we take out these lows. Otherwise, I need to see the order flow come in again and price respect some sort of PDA before looking to go long, okay? Because this is a risky area here with these lows, right? So that's everything for today. So just coming up to the daily before we leave, right? Just to remember that the daily is indeed still bearish in my opinion. So any buys are obviously a bit more riskier on the lower time frame, but the lower time frame order flow at the moment is bullish, and I can't ignore that if a trade presents itself. Okay, so weekly outlook, obviously preference is bearish with the daily bias, but the lower time frame and the daily higher time frame at the moment do not match, right? I'll be looking for that scalp, that sort of short-term buy model to come in, and then reevaluate if we do reach these highs, and if we do break down, then I can follow the higher time frame and resume our bias back down towards these previous lows here. So I hope that was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.